Have you ever called your cat's name and it simply acted like you didn't exist, as if you were completely invisible? The strange part is that science has discovered something unexpected. Most of the time, your cat heard you perfectly. And that raises a fascinating question. If cats can recognize our voices, why do they seem to ignore us so often? Imagine a friend calling your name every 5 seconds throughout the day. Eventually, you'd probably start filtering out that information. Interestingly, cats may view some of our attempts to interact in a similar way. What's even more interesting is that ignoring you doesn't mean a lack of intelligence. In fact, research suggests the exact opposite. In a famous study, scientists played recordings of owners' voices to cats. The results were surprising. Many of the cats showed clear signs of recognition. Their ears moved, their eyes reacted. Their heads shifted slightly. They knew exactly who was speaking. Yet they often didn't get up or respond. In other words, your cat may be hearing you perfectly well and simply deciding to stay exactly where it is. And as funny as that sounds, there's actually a very logical explanation. To understand it, we need to look at the history of cats. Dogs spent thousands of years being selectively bred to cooperate with humans. They learned to pay close attention to our gestures, expressions, and commands because doing so became part of their survival and their relationship with us. Cats followed a very different path. Although they have lived alongside humans for thousands of years, they were never shaped by the same intense selection for obedience and cooperation. As a result, they retained a powerful trait from their wild ancestors: independence. But here's where things get really fascinating. When a dog hears its owner calling, it often thinks something like, "Time to interact." When a cat hears its owner calling, it may be evaluating a completely different question. Is it worth getting up right now? It sounds funny, but it makes perfect sense. Cats are experts at conserving energy. In the wild, wasting effort can be costly. For millions of years, survival depended on carefully deciding when to act and when to stay still. That's why many feline decisions seem surprisingly calculated. Not because cats are cold, not because they don't care about you, but because they're efficient. However, there's an even more surprising discovery. Some of the behaviors we interpret as indifference may actually mean the exact opposite. Think about a very close human relationship. When you deeply trust someone, you don't always feel the need to prove it every moment. Sometimes simply being near that person is enough. Something similar may happen with cats. Maybe your cat doesn't jump on you every time you come home. Maybe it doesn't come running whenever you call its name. But if it chooses to rest in the same room as you, quietly watch what you're doing, or simply stay nearby for no obvious reason, that may be an important sign of trust. And now we arrive at the most emotional part of the story. One of the strongest signs of a bond between a cat and a human is when the cat chooses to stay close without expecting anything in return. No food, no toys, no treats, no attention. Just because it feels safe around you. When you think about it that way, that seemingly distant behavior starts to look very different. Maybe the cat quietly lying on the couch beside you is saying much more than you realize. Science has also identified other subtle signs of feline affection: slow blinking, rubbing their face against objects you use, sleeping near you, showing their belly in moments of trust, following you from room to room without directly interacting. These are small behaviors, but they carry a surprising amount of meaning, and that completely changes how we interpret that familiar feeling of being ignored. Because many times, your cat isn't ignoring you at all. It's simply not expressing affection in the way we expect. In fact, it may be expressing the opposite: comfort, trust, security. So, do cats ignore their owners? Sometimes, yes, but usually not for the reasons we imagine. Most of the time, they're simply choosing how, when, and why they want to interact. And once you understand that, you start noticing signs of connection that were there all along. Maybe your cat was never really ignoring you. Maybe it was just being a cat. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which discovery surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy exploring animal minds and learning what science really tells us about the natural world, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more fascinating discoveries.